Welcome all to the first of our 15-minute fixes. This is the first of a series of events that we plan to run to help people unlock their potential through the use of remote working and hiring remote support to make their lives easier. A little bit about me before we dive on. So I'm James Townsend-Rose. For the last 20 years, I've been leading teams in the Army and small businesses and scale-ups across the UK, South Africa, and regionally in Africa. I'm currently the CEO of Outsourcery. Outsourcery is a business that provides virtual support to entrepreneurs, small businesses, and executives in the UK, the US, and Europe. We've been offering virtual assistant support for the last 7 years, and it's a core part of our business. So we've got a lot of experience in this area. Also, personally, I've had a VA for the last 18 months. So I'm hoping to bring some of my own experiences into this presentation. Caveat, it's shared with my wife. So yeah, slightly differently, but I'll be bringing some of these lessons learned as we come. So before we dive into the detail and some of the advice, let's just look at why you're here. And I think if you look at the tens, if not hundreds, of clients who come to us every month looking for virtual support, I think you can put their reasons for joining us in one of these 4 brackets. So the first one would be getting distracted with non-core tasks. And when we say core, these might be the revenue generating tasks if you're running your own business. Perhaps it's quality time spent with children if it's a family. We often find our potential clients snowed under with admin, so not getting to some of the boring but important parts of our life. We also see people lacking the time or the skills to get jobs done. So, we have limited time, we have limited skill sets, and we see people who are looking to augment their environment with additional skills. And we see people lacking work-life balance, which is often the core symptom. People feel essentially frustrated with where they are and a sense that there is some potential to be unlocked. For some of you on the call, you may already have a VA or have used one in the past. For some of you, you may have just identified these symptoms and think that a VA might be the right answer, and some of you might already be doing the research. But the purpose of this call is to help you, guide you through the process based on our company experience and my own personal experience in getting a VA and how to make that experience work to the best of your advantage. And when looking at it, you can divide it up into 3 key stages. So the first one is around finding the right assistant. The second one is setting yourself up for success. The third one is fine-tuning the machine. And if you get all of these stages right, and unfortunately there's no skipping a stage, but if you get all these stages right, I'll go as far as to guarantee a successful outcome, and you'll get a sense of that frustration diminishing and your potential unleashed. So let's dive straight in. The first one is around finding the right VA. I'm afraid this is a stage that requires a lot of investment from you. So there's no shortcuts on this stage. And if there's an umbrella statement, one of the issues that I see here with our clients is that they come to us looking for a quick fix. They've become so frustrated that they try to optimize for getting help in the short term possible. And you see many companies promoting themselves with, we'll find you someone in 24 hours. But really, in my view, you should be looking or more interested in getting the right person for a long period of time to ensure a successful outcome. In order to do that, first of all, define the tasks and responsibilities. The simple output of this is a job description. So define the roles and responsibilities, the tasks and the requirements. Also think about the hierarchy or the seniority that you need in order to get the job that you need done. So is it an associate? Is it an executive? And what level of experience do you need in order to meet the expectations of the requirements? If you're going to be sharing a VA, and this is the example of me and my wife, then make sure you collaborate over this process to make sure you're both on page with getting the right person. The second really important part here is just to think about what other parameters are really important to you. So some examples of this might be things like communication styles. So do you need the individual to be able to respond to you immediately? Symmetric comms, or is asymmetric okay, where if you communicate with your VA, you're happy with them to get back to you in a number of hours. This will determine, for example, what time zone they're in. Another one might be personality. So how important is it to you that there is a personality fit? If they're going to be dealing with data and data entry, that's perhaps less important. But if they're going to be an integral part of your business or your personal life, then a personality match becomes more important. So it'll be important to understand and test for a personality match. We use a firm called 16 Personalities, use the Myers-Briggs formula to make sure that works well. How much time do you need? Is it a 10-hour a month or is it an 80-hour a month role? Will obviously be determined by the amount of tasks that you want and what's your budget requirement. In general, like most things in life, one gets what one pays for. So the more senior and experienced VAs will cost more than the more junior and inexperienced. And the more hours you take of a VA, the lower the hourly rate, and obviously the counterfactual. So get these things, flesh all these things out early on in your experience. The last one is to do a deep search. So make sure you get recommendations from friends, from colleagues who have worked with VAs. Make sure that you interview a couple of people as well as seeing a variety of profiles. And then you can go back to your job description and update that job description as you go. And then the last one is don't settle. Again, this is coming full circle back to being in a hurry to solve that frustration. If you find that there is a niggle at the profile or interview stage, the likelihood is that that niggle will be amplified during your working experience with that individual. So make sure you get that, you keep searching, keep looking until you get the right person. So let's assume you've now been through that process and you've found the right VA. The next phase is around setting yourself up for success. And just like the first one, I'm afraid this one also requires a lot of investment from you. But I can assure you that the more time you put into this phase, the more return you'll get. The first one is investing in the onboarding phase. This will probably take between 4 and 6 weeks. It requires immediate access to all tools and passwords. It requires you to walk through in the same way that you would with a new employee, all the tools and platforms that you expect them to use, and any day-to-day tasks and responsibilities. This phase also involves you agreeing together what they are accountable for and what the expectation is around things like quality, communication platforms, timelines, et cetera, et cetera. It's about setting yourself up for success. The more time you spend in this phase, the better the outcome in the long run. We suggest you use a task management system to collaborate, but please don't overcomplicate it. Just something simple like a Trello with a done to-do board with priority type tabs is absolutely perfect for the majority of processes. And the same goes with communication. So use simple tools like WhatsApp over email, where things can get lost in sort of verbose communication. The goal of this stage is to ensure autonomy and accountability. So this is where your virtual assistant knows what needs to be done. They have the freedom and the skills and the access to get that done. And you are confident, as are they, that they can be held accountable for the output that you expect. So if it's only at that stage where you, that position of accountability and autonomy, where you can move out of this phase. So once you've set yourself up for success, let's assume you're now working with that VA. And now really it's about fine-tuning the machine. You may find that your VA is the expert and you're not. They might have other clients. They might have been a virtual assistant for a number of years. So be open to feedback from them in the way that you should be working. Also create the environment so that you can provide constructive feedback and they can take that on board, particularly around how tasks are done and the level of quality or output that you expect. So create that environment, whether it be regular check-ins or other methods to ensure there's a feedback loop with your VA. The second point is to ensure that you build and foster a good working relationship. Just remember that your VA is a human. You may not see them an awful lot because the majority of your communication is likely to be digital, but they are human. They do want to work and will work better for you if they respect and like you and understand what you're trying to achieve in your business or in your life. We recommend you touch base with them face to face, or videos on a Zoom call, at least once a week, if not once a month. And invite them to your company or into other engagements so they feel very much part of your team. It's also important when you are sharing a VA, which you might well do with a work colleague or a family member like myself, that the 3 of you or 4 of you are all on page. So you're all working with each other and using the right tools to build that relationship in the right way. We do see failure where a VA is being asked to prioritize between 2 clients who are essentially in the same business, and that can be a real challenge. The third one is to review and adjust. So every 3 to 6 months, check in, see how it's going, create a scorecard so you can measure success and objectively determine whether it's working out and you're getting a return on that investment, and then be prepared to adjust. An adjustment might be going back into a feedback loop to change either the tools that you're using, or performance, or one of the smaller things, all the way through to actually it's just not going to work with this VA and we should move on. And I would encourage you, if you see issues, not to be afraid to try different VAs. Hopefully you wouldn't have to do this too many times as you go through the stages and you invest in the search and the onboarding. But if you get to this point and it's not working, don't give up with the idea of a VA. Rather look for alternative solutions and double down on the search and the onboarding function, and look at ways how you might improve in those areas to ensure a better outcome. 3 bonus tips. So the first one is don't skip the stages. We often find clients who are having issues with their VAs that they've skipped the stages. They don't really understand at the top end exactly what they needed, or they hired a VA without the correct skills or experiences to meet the requirements, or the requirements changed. They weren't onboarded, so perhaps they're in such a hurry to get on with the tasks at hand. They never went through all those recommendations that I mentioned within that onboarding phase, and then they don't have a review process. So please don't skip the stages. If you're having issues, it's likely that you did. Forgive yourself if it doesn't work first time. Don't give up, as I said, on the idea of the VA. Go back to the stage 1 and do it in a diligent manner, and you'll be absolutely fine. And then the last one, there are experts who can help you. So there are companies like ours who can help you recruit, train, onboard, and work with VAs. So don't feel like you have to do this alone. There are others who can help you. I hope those tips are useful for those who are curious around working with a VA, or those who are looking or working with a VA who are looking to improve the performance and unlock that potential. That's the end of this first one in the series. We will be doing the next video in this series, which is going to be looking at getting the most out of your remote team, whether that be a VA or how you can augment your own workspace to work better as part of a distributed workforce, or if you're managing a remote team, how to manage remote teams more effectively. So look out for that on LinkedIn in the next month.